Greetings, wrestling fans, and welcome to Fannin's Flashbacks, the podcast that nobody asked for, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. This podcast is going to cover tales from IWA Mid-South during my 12 years with the company, and it will be a part of the BNMVS Podcast Network. This podcast is intended for mature audiences only due to the foul language and graphic details about deathmatch wrestling that it will contain. This will be your backstage pass to get a peek behind the curtain at what led to the downfall of the craziest independent wrestling promotion of the late 1990s, early 2000s. And without any further ado, Nick Manawa, hit the music.
But moving on to random names, Kevin Steen, El Generico, what did you think when they were first showing up in IWA? Did you see any potential in either of them? Or were you like, what the fuck is happening here?
So have you ever seen like the shoot interview that Kevin Owens did for Smart Mark Video?
No. He says some fucked up shit.
I'm probably his least favorite person from his Kevin Steen days. From what I could tell from the clips that people have sent me a couple of times.
Does he name drop you? Like, does he mention you specifically?
Oh, there is a specific story that he tells, and I didn't know. I'm sorry. I will now tell my version of the story. So
fuck yeah, get it out, man.
It's the We're No Joke show. I think that was
the fucking Mania 06 weekend that I was talking about.
I think it was like
he wrestles Ian on that show, right?
I can't remember.
Okay, well, whatever. We're No Joke. And
it's one of those. It's one of those where
I got you. I'm sorry.
We ran in the afternoon, and then there was like Ring of Honor at night.
Yeah.
Night. So I get up at like 4:00 in the morning.
It was him and Ian on that show.
Okay, so I get up at like 4:00 in the morning to start making airport runs for that show. You can look at it and see how many long distance fly-ins that we have on that show, because you've got the lineup in front of you. I don't. But I start making airport runs at like 4:00 in the morning. And my day consists of go to the airport, get one person, drive them to fucking mid-low, pay for a hotel room, put them into a hotel, drive back to the airport, pick up a person.
Miserable shit.
Drive them back. So it's just all day. All day yeah. I'm using gas. I'm buying hotel rooms out the ass.
Out of your own pocket.
Out of my own pocket. I'm driving. And I'm going nonstop all day. Then there's the show. Then there's getting everybody from the show to the hotel.
Yeah.
Some people are like flying back later that night. They're not staying, so it at least saved me a hotel, but it's more trips I got to make to get them back to the airport at the end. So I'm doing runs. Now, I think is Vanessa Craven or somebody on that show as well. Because there was another. So
her and Mickey Mischief, Daisy Hayes had a match.
Okay, so like Craven was Canadian, like Steen, Generico, they're traveling together to Canada. Steen and Generico decide they want to go hang out at the Ring of Honor show because they want to try to get booked by Ring of Honor and start working Ring of Honor.
Okay.
Great for you. I had told them, this is when I'm coming back to the hotel to pick you up. I got to the hotel earlier than that because that's just how it ended up working out with all the damn drivings back and forth.
Yeah.
I get to the hotel and I'm not sure how much earlier it is than what I had told them. I couldn't even remember what I had told them. But they were like the last run that I had to make. I'd been up over 24 hours. I had made a dozen airport trips. I had paid for a buttload of hotel rooms, had done the show. All I wanted to do was go home and go to fuck to bed. And I was not in the best mood because it was another one of those shows where Ian's like, you're the first guy I'm handing money to off the gate. We're going to have a great crowd. You're the first, the money you've put out, you're the first person I'm paying.
Did that ever happen?
Never happened. A lot of the times it never happened because I told him not to make it happen because it always would fucking happen on a show where there's 10 people that bought a fucking ticket.
Yeah, you talked about that. Yeah.
And I would say, make sure that the fucking wrestlers get something. And so then I would never get anything. They would get, hopefully they got something. He probably told them that I took all the money and didn't give but I don't know. I just would not be surprised if that's what ended up happening. But here nor there, I didn't end up with it. That's the only part that I know. So I was not in a great mood. But like I said, all I wanted to do was make this last goddamn airport run so I could go the fuck home and go to sleep. Well, they weren't back from Ring of Honor yet. And this was late. They should have been back from Ring of Honor by this point, especially in my head. They should have been back by now.
And that was a huge show for IWA too. Tons of people there, packed out.
You're right. So I told Vanessa, have you heard anything from them? And she was like, no, but you told them that they had to be here by, it's not quite that time yet. And I was like, and I've said it before, I did not care for other federations. I did not like Ring of Honor. I did not like the fact that they took every single person that was on their roster, they took from us. So my opinion was always, fuck you. And so at that moment, my opinion was, well, if they want to be Ring of Honor so fucking bad, Ring of Honor can take them to the fucking airport. So I told Vanessa, if you want to ride to an airport, the train leaves now. So she got in the car and she was like telling them, I don't know what you guys are going to do. He's not making another run. And, I take her to the airport. Obviously, Steen and Generico made it there.
Yeah,
I don't know how. It ended up working out. I don't know how. Didn't really care at the time. I went home and went the fuck to bed. I was done. And
fuck it.
Not in the best of moods. So on this Smart Mark video shoot, Kevin Steen tells the story and just shits all over me as to what kind of a human being would just fucking strand somebody somewhere and what a piece of shit I am. And I will be the first person to tell you I am an asshole. I am a piece of shit. But,
within reason.
You don't know the whole story. And in my eyes, I had a pretty goddamn good reason for doing what I did. But I think after somebody had showed me that, I think I reached out to him via Twitter and just sent a tweet and said, I saw the comments on the shoot interview. It was a very long day. I'd been up for over 24 hours, got stiffed on a bunch of money by Ian, was not in the best mood, and I just wanted to go home. And I was like, so I apologize. that I didn't take you, but, you know, I had my reasons. And I think he replied back and was like, that's all I wanted was an apology. And so maybe he's okay with me now. I don't know.
Who gives a fuck? It's over. Yeah.
Yeah, it's over. He was a super talented guy, you know.
Okay,
and,
yeah, that's what. Yeah, I was like,
and
what,
they
what
both,
like when you
both
saw
made.
Generico, even when you saw like the Generico gimmick, were you entertained by that? Did you think, oh, he's a fucking idiot? Why is he pretending to be a luchador or what? Like, what did you think?
I mean, again, it wasn't. I'm fine with comedy. I'm fine with comedy and wrestling as long as it's not what we're doing is fake
What
bullshit.
did you like Delirious? Real quick, did you like it?
Delirious was good. At no point in time was like, to me, like what Delirious was doing was okay. Sometimes it would be a bit much.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Sometimes it would go a bit much, but there was parts of it that I like. Again,
It was fun. It was fun enough.
You do it in the right way. I'm fine with it, as long as it's not, ha, this is all fake, and what I'm doing right now should get me killed, but it's not. You know, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Uh, did you have anything more to say about Generico, or did you cover that?
I mean, just both him and Steen, super talented. They've made a hell of a lot of money. I'll say this without going too deep into the weeds. Kevin Owens is a very generous human being.
Okay.
He has greatly helped out some friends of mine out of some deep holes that they had gotten themselves into. And so much respect to him. I have nothing bad to say about the guy, and he's super talented. And I know at one point he was injured or something, and I hope he's
still
fine.
He's been out. He's been out for over a year at this point. Yeah, he's hurt.
Yeah, so I hope that, you know, not necessarily that he gets back in the ring and wrestles 20 more years. I think he's got enough money that he should be okay. But I wish him good health.
That's cool.
And
all right.
And I was entertained by Generico, and nothing bad about either one of them.
You've talked about Sabu a bunch. Do you have like one random like silly interaction with Sabu, or just, one weird memory of some shit you saw him do? I don't know. Like,
I think I've already told the Sabu stories about him, like repeatedly kicking me in the back of the head as I'm going through Hospital Curve on 65 and telling Ian, like, will you tell him to stop kicking me? And how he would always come up to me at every show and be like, do you got anything? And after about the fourth or fifth time, he'd be like, I know, you don't have anything. And I was like, okay. So none of my Sabu stuff is positive, really. None of it really bad about it. So it is what it is.
All right. What was up with Ian retiring in 2007, and then he comes back like a month later after the rotten farewell? What was the deal there? If you remember anything, or if you
what was the deal with this is the IWA's last show? We're going out of business.
It was all bullshit all the time. It was always bullshit.
I mean, there was a little bit like, you know, he knew that his body was beat to hell, and it was one of those, in theory, he wanted to not really keep wrestling, but it was also well, if I build this as my retirement, you know, that should draw a big house and people want to come out and watch my last match. And then, you know, I can't remember what the house was like, but then, you know, like it was like really weird with some of the stuff. Like Ian only turned heel one time in IWA.
He did turn heel. I never even knew he did it all. I can't believe he.
Yeah, so it was
had the ego to turn heel.
1998, he turns heel and joins me. The name of the show is The Night the Rats Cried because he
Oh,
turned
that's
on
okay. That's
he
on
turned on
Smart Mart. That's
Suicide
on Smart
Kid.
Mart to this day. They're still selling that shit.
He turned on Suicide Kid, joined me, beat the fuck out of Suicide Kid. Um, the girls that Jake was sleeping with legitimately were crying in the crowd. So we named it
Just the rats crying.
the night the rats cried. And it was a short run as a heel because the people stopped coming to the show.
Really?
Uh, they knew Ian owned the show. They did not want to give Ian their money for him to be a bad guy.
That's really
Uh,
okay. I
and
always thought I always thought it was like a
he
it was
got
I thought
so
always thought
many
it was an ego deal that
he
he
got
wanted
he
to
got
maybe
so many calls to the hotline. Like the people would be like, I know it's a work, but I cannot give you my money if you're a bad guy. I can't do
really.
it. And so he had to stop. It might have went like just a couple of months. It was very short before he had to turn back, and so he never turned heel again. Um, there was like one other time that he took a bunch of time off of wrestling, and it was when we did the build up to me starting the superheroes, and he had like accidentally punched Patty when he was so mad at BJ
Okay, yeah.
Whitmer, and so it was like he was at an emotional breaking point, and he couldn't be at the shows, and the attendance plummeted, and people were not coming out because he was not on
Really,
the show.
really okay.
Um, so he was like, "Fuck, I need to come back, and I need to be on the shows." And so it
See,
was a little bit.
that's something that nobody ever wants to talk about is like Ian was a draw to those people because
He was.
when you look back in revisionist history, it's like why the fuck was Ian all over the fucking even me asking those questions and it's like why the fuck was Ian all over the place constantly? He brought the people back somehow, whatever it
Yeah.
was about him.
And I mean, yeah. So a lot of it was, his body was broken down, and he wanted to stop, but it didn't draw enough to take a lot of time off with his retirement show. So then, and then attendance is dipped because and plus it's like it's a wrestler that he doesn't have to pay. If
Yeah,
he's on the show, that's one less payday that he's taken up that spot, and like he's got to come back and got to work the show, and he doesn't think of the long term of no one's going. It's Fritz von Erich faking a heart attack, and then the people saying "fuck you, I'm never coming back," kind of thing with world class when he did that. Same with Ian. You
yeah.
can't fuck over the people 1,200 times and then expect them to just keep coming back. But for whatever reason, he was a draw, and there was reasons behind you know why he had to keep working as one less wrestler that he had to have a payday for.
Gotcha. Okay. Naptown Dragons, Drake Younger, Scotty Vortex, and Die Hard Dustin Lee. OMG also, do you remember Dustin Lee particularly had a reputation during that time period for being a little bit of a weirdo? Do you have any recollections of his weirdness?
Um, I mean, he was fucking an alien, but it was an alien with pretty big tits. So I can't
Why
blame him
not?
on I can't blame him on that one. Uh, but I I liked Drake at the time, and I thought Drake was talented. I thought Scotty Vortex was talented. I thought OMG had some talent.
Yeah.
Um, they had good heads on their shoulders. They were fine with paying their dues. They did what was asked of them, and they were good hands to have on the show. Great. Die Hard Dustin Lee, well, he was fucking an alien with some pretty nice tits. That's
Enough said. He's doing death matches in Ukraine currently.
somebody told me that, and it blew my mind. And
Yeah,
I
he
have
was wrestling for like 15 years, and then he just showed up in Ukraine, and he's doing all the same shit he was doing 15 years ago. It's
crazy.
crazy. Okay. What have you heard of? What do you think about the issues between Punk and Cabana nowadays? Have you heard any about their falling out? Do you sympathize with anybody in that situation, or what do you? Is it none of your business and you don't want to talk about it?
Well, I mean, it's definitely none of my business.
Well, I mean, yeah,
It's
yeah, I mean,
definitely
yeah,
none
that's
of my
obvious.
business. I'll say that right off.
Yeah.
I will say that I think it's a shame that they had the falling out. I don't know all of the stuff behind it.
Yeah,
The stuff
yeah,
that
yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff the stuff that I do know, um, like I can see both sides of the argument. Um, kind of deal with, like I said, what I know of it. It disappoints me because they were so close and they were such good friends, and I never like it when really good friends stop being really good friends.
Yeah.
That's never a good thing. So it's sad to see because I knew how tight they were. They should be friends, but you know
I
if
hear you. I
if
get you.
I if I made it to the top of the mountain and my best friend didn't quite make it to the top of the mountain,
Yeah.
and then I decided to try to help my friend by going on his podcast and giving maybe elevating him to and put some eyeballs on him. But in the process of doing that, I got him sued.
Yeah.
I'd feel bad about that. Far as I know, that was how it was up to that point. Um, I would offer to pay for a lawyer, which I heard happened. Um, if my best friend then said, I don't want your lawyer, I want you to pay two lawyers and get my own lawyer, I would probably then be a little pissed off and say, why are you going to make me pay a second lawyer? I offered to pay for a lawyer. You didn't want that lawyer. You're on the hook for the lawyer that you went out and got on your own. That's how I would look at that.
Yeah.
As far as I
All right.
know, that's not the entire issue between the two. There was then the fact that Colt then went and hung out at a WWE show after the fact. And that was somehow some great. You're working for that fucking company right now. So how can you be pissed that somebody else went to one of their shows? And you can say the management is different, still the same fucking company.
Yeah.
So, you know, um,
And now
that's how I look at
Saudi Arabia.
everything. But I don't know the whole thing. I don't know everything that went on. What I do know, that's my take on it. I can see why there would be some upset feelings each way on it. So, I mean, neither one has completely clean hands in the situation, and it's just unfortunate all the way around.
All right. 8 more questions left of this huge list I've created.
Marathon.
Yeah. Manslaughter. No showed the '04 King of the Death. Any memories? I know Manslaughter was a problem throughout Bad of the Bone, throughout other promotions. He was on a bunch of shit. Yeah. I saw him recently in the past couple of years, and he's clean, and he was a nice guy, and it was a nice interaction. But I know there was so many problems with so many people. What do you remember about Manslaughter, specifically when he no-showed King of the Death '04?
So I told this one on Tank, and I told
Okay,
this one on Nate Webb.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
It's
sorry.
okay. It's okay. I'll let Manawa decide whether to chop this out, since it's been on two. But since you have, I'll tell you the story. And he,
Or if you have any other manslaughter stories besides that, besides the King of the Dead.
I mean, it's only one thing.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry. Gotcha.
So, and I don't know the truth, but he started like my girlfriend at the time. He started like talking about like almost the Flair macho man. She was mine before she was yours kind of deal.
Oh
and
yeah,
and
right.
talking shit about stuff that happened before I was with her.
I didn't even know you had
And
a connection with him like that.
and um so I hated his guts. Absolutely hated his guts. Don't run your mouth about my girlfriend,
Yeah,
was how I looked
yeah,
at it. I don't care what the fuck happened. I don't not didn't involve me, but you know, if you're talking shit about her, it looks bad on me. So then I'm going to be pissed at you.
yeah.
Um, so he calls Ian, and Ian knew that I could not stand his fucking ass and that I wanted to kill him. But he calls Ian and he's like, "Hey man, if I buy a ticket, can I just come to the show tonight and watch the show?" And this was like in the Clarksville building.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. And Ian, like the show was going on, and I guess he was like close by or something. And so Ian wanted the ticket money. So Ian said, "Sure, come on." And so Manslaughter shows up and buys a ticket, sits in like the last row and sitting in the crowd.
Yeah.
I come out and I see that Manslaughter is sitting there, and I lose my fucking mind. And I start screaming at him, "Get your shit and get the fuck out of my building right the fuck now." And he's like, what? And I'm like, "Get your fucking shit and get the fuck out of my fucking building right the fuck now before I kill you." And the crowd, I mean, it's in front of the crowd and everything. And
Yeah.
like, everybody's like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And, um, like, Ian's like, "Dude, the house is light. I thought that, I needed the ticket money." And so I take my wallet out, I grab a $10 bill, and
Give it back to
I,
him.
I hand it to Ian, and I said, "There's his fucking ticket money. Give him his money back. He's the fuck out of here." And so Patty hands him his money back and he leaves. This is before 2004 King of the Death matches.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so I had, I think either I had just moved back to Morris because I had just broken up with the girl. Well, the girlfriend broke up with me.
Ooh,
And
it
so
worked out. You're doing all right.
so it was either like right that had just happened and I had just moved back to Chicago, or it hadn't quite happened.
Gotcha.
You'll have to look and see if King of the Death matches happened
Cage
before.
Match. I just searched. Cage Match has nothing on Jim Fannon's relationship history. I can't
No,
figure.
no. If you look at the date of King of the Death matches, if it was before Ronald Reagan died, then I was still with her. But if it was after Ronald Reagan died, then I had just moved back to Chicago. But it was either I had moved back to Chicago and I did not want to come to Olynyk for both.
It was Reagan died June 5th, 04. King of the Death night 1 was June 25th, 04.
So she broke up with me the day Ronald Reagan died.
Yeah, she just couldn't do it anymore. Reagan stole her heart.
So I had just moved back to Chicago. I did not want to do both days of Olynyk. So I only came for the second day. Ian goes, I need a person for King of the Death. I need a body. Can I please use Manslaughter? And I said, you can use him night 1, but he loses. He's not there the second night. He goes home.
Yeah.
And Ian said, okay, thank you for letting me do this. He'll lose. So then I see on the computer that Manslaughter wins
over Trick Davis.
Over
squashed
him. So I call Ian and I say, do you still want me at King of the Death? And he said, yes, please come. And I said, well, his fucking ass better not be there. I told you he had to go under. And he's like, I'm sorry, the way the thing, I was like, you're the one that makes the matches. Don't give me, the way that it fell, I had no choice. You didn't have to put him against Trick Davis. You could have picked somebody else for him to wrestle and have him go under.
Trick's replacing somebody too, I'm sure.
But whatever.
Yeah.
That might have been what he said. Oh, well, who he was supposed to go under to didn't
okay, gotcha.
Trick, whatever it was, he tried to give me some bullshit excuse as to why he couldn't live up. But I know the games that Ian plays, and he wanted to make me eat it to show me that he was the boss and that I couldn't tell him what to do. But I let him know under no uncertain terms. I was like, if that motherfucker is in the building when I get out of my car, I will make sure that he does not participate on the show.
So Ian told him not to show up?
I think he was there. He was there. And I told him he better not, I was like, he better fucking be gone. I was like, I'm a half hour away. If he's there, I will make sure he does not fucking participate. And he left. And so, like, half the people he told he was sick, half the people he told he didn't want to mess up his brand new tattoo, what the fuck ever. But the reason is he knew that I would hit him with a bat or something, and that I would fuck his world up if he was in that building when I got there. So he got in the car and he left. He made the right choice.
All right, well stated, Mr. Fannin. Not wrapping things up. There are 7 more questions. These 2 are combined.
So 2 hours.
I'm sorry?
So 2 more hours.
Yeah, basically. What was the highest moment of your IWA run, and what was the lowest moment of your IWA run? What made you feel the best? Or you don't even have to talk about the worst. What made you feel the best? Fuck the worst. What was the best? Don't even, seriously, I don't want, fuck the lowest shit. What made you feel, what was the best fucking night of your IWA run?
The best night at the time, was the bionic elbow from Dusty Rhodes. That was for me growing up watching Crockett, and the Horseman versus Dusty was what kept, that was my thing. And if you ever would have told at any point from the time I was 10 until the time I was like 16, if you had told me that I was going to be in the ring with Dusty Rhodes and I was going to take a bionic elbow in front of a paid crowd, I would have said, "Get me in a time machine and take me there right the fuck now."
Was
That
Dusty cool? Was Dusty cool to you that day?
Dusty was awesome. He came in, and it was right after. I don't know if you're a baseball guy, but it was right after the Boston Red Sox completed the comeback against the New York Yankees. I don't even think they had won the World Series yet. But
okay,
they had,
2004,
yeah,
whatever,
so
like
it's
around. Okay,
2004.
yeah, I remember the Red Sox
Um,
then.
yeah, so they
Huge
were
shit.
down. They were down 3 games to nothing to the Yankees, and ended up coming back and defeating the Yankees. Uh, and there was the curse of the Bambino, because
Yeah, yeah.
Boston sold the greatest baseball player of all time, Babe Ruth, to the New York Yankees, so the owner of the Boston Red Sox could fund his Broadway musical No No Nanette. Um, and so he sold Babe Ruth to the Yankees so he could have that money. And the Red Sox never won a World Series for 86 years or whatever it was
Yeah.
until 2004. And so this was like a pretty big ass deal that this had just happened. And Joey Eastman was the biggest Boston Red Sox fan in the world. And so the only 3 people in the dressing room are Joey Eastman, Dusty Rhodes, and myself. And we did not want to bother Dusty Rhodes. We wanted to leave him alone. We did not want to bother him. So me and Joey
Oh
are
yeah.
just talking. And I'm going on and on, knowing how important it was about the Red Sox coming back to the Yankees and how much I don't like the Yankees, and how happy I was to see that it happened. And from across the room, I hear, "Young man, I will have you know, George Steinbrenner is a close personal friend of mine." And I was like, "Motherfucker." And I was like, "I apologize, sir. I have nothing but respect for the Yankees. I am just jealous that they have all those World Series, and the Chicago Cubs are in the same boat as the Boston Red Sox. And, if the Red Sox can break their curse, maybe the Cubs can break their curse. And so that's the only reason that, I would trade places with the Yankees in a heartbeat if I could." So no disrespect meant. And he just looked at me and he was like, "Young man, you got to be careful." and and so I was I just that is I remember that. But he was super cool and did more than he had to do that night in the ring. Uh, Ian was so mad at me after that. He was like, "You are grinning from ear to ear when you take that bionic elbow." And I was like, "I am never. That is never happening again in my
Motherfucker,
life."
so were you
I
watching it
was like,
happen?
"This is the high. This is as high as it's going to get. There's nothing. There's nothing else that I can do that's going to even come close to this. So I'm going to smile." And that was by far at the time the the pinnacle.
Fuck yeah. Okay. 5 more questions. This one is a silly question, and the last 4 questions are kind of connected. Hypothetically, I haven't brought this man's name up yet until this very moment. Okay, you're driving home on a lonesome road, and you got 2 flat tires. You're fucked. You can't get home. And the man that pulls over to help you, he rolls his window down, and it's a fellow by the name of Jimmy Jacobs. Do you do you say fuck you? I'll walk home 20 miles wherever the fuck, or do you let him help you?
That is that is the question. So I would take the help today. 5 years ago, I'd have taken the help. Um, this is maybe 7 years ago, I'd have taken the help.
Fuck no, hell no.
Um, 10 years ago or longer, I would have beat him with the tire iron that I was using to try to take my flat tire off with. So I've seen his point of view over time, that he had his reasons for doing what he did. To this day, I do not agree with those reasons. If I had the opportunity to speak with him screen to screen, I would say that taking the booking and working the show, nothing would have happened. More power to you. Get some money.
Yeah.
The extra, to do the extra, I'm still not good with that. But the love for those three letters, not as big a hill that I'm willing to die on anymore, because it didn't mean enough to anybody in the grand scheme of things for it to have meant that much to me. And, didn't like the way that it happened, but I'm willing to accept that he had his reasons. And to the best of my knowledge, I think he would even, if there was a screen to screen, can't say face to face.
Yeah.
Really, because it's screen to screen. I think he would even have to say that, he probably regrets the limit that he took it to. But a man desperate for money and in a desperate situation for money will do desperate things. And I'm more willing to accept that as a reason for doing something. Yeah. And that I'm to a point in my life now where I can not agree with that reason, but at least be like, we can coexist, and we can like agree to disagree without it's not life or death anymore. How about that?
Exactly. Yeah.
5 minutes to say what should have took 10 seconds, but
that's the Jim Fannin way. God damn it!
I would take the help.
Oh yeah.
Because I needed the help, but I might tell him we're closer to being even, but we're not even yet.
Gotcha. Yes, sir. All right. Okay. The next three questions are connected, and there's one final question. What was Ian's reaction when you finally said, "I'm fucking done. I'm out of here. This is my last date"? What did he say to you?
Honestly, I don't fully remember. I know that he knew it was coming. There was, my last day was, no matter what, my last day was going to be the anniversary show in 2009. That was it. So it would have been October. We ended up making it to August.
Your last show was August
August
28th
28th.
of 09, Kings of the Crimson Mask in
Right.
Bellevue.
The 28th was August 28th ended up being my last show because
Yeah, if you have any memories of that show, that's another question I was about to ask that kind of fits in.
So he had said, like, the day before or the week of, he announced that was going to be the last show.
Oh, that he was done. That he was okay.
That IWA was done. This is our last show. Can't do it anymore. And he made that announcement online, and it was the 14th, 15th, 2000th time that he had made that declaration. But we were building to Jimmy Jacobs versus Jim Fannin in a loser leave IWA respect. There was
fuck off, leave and die.
There was like a handful of goddamn stipulations that were going to be put on this thing. And it was going to be, me versus Jimmy at the anniversary show, whatever October date. So like anywhere from like 5 to 8 weeks later, there was going to be this anniversary show, and it was going to be my last show. I was going to put over Jimmy Jacobs.
Really?
It was loser leave, I quit, I respect, and then there might have been like maybe some kind of lumberjack stipulation so that there would be other people to fill time fighting, because I couldn't go more than 5 minutes, but it deserved more than 5 minutes. So there was like all this other stuff cooked in that, was going to buy time that I could prolong it, kind of deal. So the whole buildup was going to be, everybody knows that Jimmy Jacobs can beat me in a wrestling match, but that's not what this is. Jimmy Jacobs can go anywhere. He can go work Ring of Honor. He can go work where he likes to put things in the trash can. He can go work here, there, everywhere.
Yeah.
There's one place that I can go. And this means more to me than anything else. And he's never going to make me, without killing me, he's never going to make me say I quit. He's never going to make me say I respect you. He's never going to, he's never going to be able to beat me because I want this more than him. He's got options. He's got alternatives. I don't. And that was going to be like the build for this as to why people should believe that I'm going to win. And then, it's going to be their belief that I'm going to have somebody that's going to fucking interfere or whatever. And I'm going to, they're going to at least suspect that there's a chance that I'm going to go over, whatever. That's what we're building towards. But in the end, I was going to say I quit. I was going to shake his hand, say, I respect you, and I was leaving.
Do you wish that had happened?
I mean, of course. I mean, I wanted, part of the reason I went is I didn't get to go out on my own terms. That was what I chose. That was what I decided was going to be the way I went out. It was going to tidy up and wrap up almost 4 years.
5 years almost.
Because that happened 2005. Thanksgiving 2005 was when he did what he did on the show. So this would have been 2009. So October, so it would have been just shy of 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. Okay.
And it was how I wanted to wrap up that story. I wanted I wanted to go out that way. I was getting married in December. I wanted out. That was going to be it. Ian did the This is the last show. Um, so I took my opportunity when I went to the ring, and I didn't tell Ian I was going to do it. Um, and I went to the ring and I cut my promo where I was like, "This is it. I don't care if IWA resurrects like it always does. It resurrects without me. I'm done, and I mean it. And there's no coming back. This is it." Um, Ian wasn't happy with it, especially that I didn't tell him beforehand. But I also knew that if I told him beforehand, he'd try to talk me out of it. And I also knew that he might be able to talk me out of it. So I just
Yeah.
went and did. I went and did it. So there was and then in my eyes there was no going back. There was no
Because
walking it.
you were talking about on commentary that night that this is your last show. You're done. I'm out of this. Fuck this. It's
Yeah.
the end for me.
So I made sure that I left it to where there was no coming back. And
What? Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so I mean, that was what he wasn't happy about it. We didn't really have a conversation about it because I didn't allow a conversation to happen about it because I didn't want him to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't let a conversation really happen.
Okay. So second to last question. When was the last time that you spoke to Ian?
I couldn't give you like an exact date.
I mean, but was it after the you left? How long?
It was after it. So I got married December 2009. Then I moved to, my wife and I, we moved to Champaign, Illinois. I started taking master's level classes at the University of Illinois, Champaign Urbana, the Big Ten school.
Yeah.
And I graduated from, I got done with that like 2000, early 2011, I think is when I finished that degree. But at some point while I was still in Champaign, because after I graduated in 2011, I got hired by the Chicago Cubs and we moved to Chicago. And it was sometime while we were still in Champaign, so it had to have been end of, like somewhere late 2010 to very early 2011. My cell phone legitimately broke. It would not charge. And at that point in time, it was like, I hadn't quite, it was like 1 month before I could upgrade my phone for free. And I couldn't afford to pay for an upgrade. So I was like, I like had called him and told him my phone's about to die. Once this battery dies, I'm not going to have a phone for a month. I'll get in contact with you at the when I get the phone traded in. And he was like, okay, I guess. And um, I stopped replying to like emails. And that was like the most peaceful month of my life up to that point. Because like every time the phone rang, I just would have a sense of dread with like, what's he going to ask me for now?
Yeah.
And I remember the last phone conversation that I had with him. He had worked for somebody out in California, and they flew him out there, but they only got him a one-way ticket to get out there, and they told him they'd get him the one-way ticket to get him back, but then they didn't. And it was
Probably a guy by the name of Mr. California. who has ran that scheme with a lot of guys that just as a
Well,
random aside. That's probably that guy.
this was revenge because he had done this so many times to B-Boy. And he had
Oh,
also done it. He had also done it to Necro, and he had done it to dozens, where he would fly him to the show with a one-way ticket, and then they'd have to live on his couch until Smart Mark sent the check from the sales of the DVDs, and then he'd get him a one-way ticket back. So he had ended up doing that to B-Boy like at least 2, maybe 3 or more times.
Yeah.
And so whoever this was like friends with B-Boy. So he did it to Ian to get back for what he had done to B-Boy countless times. And so Ian calls me from California and wants me to wire him money so that he could get a plane ticket so he could get home.
And you've been out of wrestling for 2 years or whatever. That you've been a couple
yeah,
years.
But I mean, we were at that point. We were still talking all the time.
I know, but you'd still been out of the fucking shit.
Yeah, but I'd been out, and but he called me and he was like, and before that he had gotten my wife's PayPal account shut off because people were like sending tape sale money because their PayPal account had already gotten turned off because of all the like negative. They didn't send me my shit. So PayPal shut their account off. So we had to start using, like he started using my wife's PayPal account and then not selling, sending the tapes. So people were dinging hers and got hers shut off. So then it was like, I had like, oh, go to Walmart and buy some kind of like prepaid card at Walmart through whatever they had and then send it to him so he could have some money and like all this other bullshit. And so it was like every time he called me, like I said, my skin would crawl and I'd be like, what the fuck now?
Yeah.
And so he calls me and he's like, these motherfuckers, they fly me out here and they leave me stranded. Who the fuck would do that? And I go, you, many times to Necro, B-Boy. And I'm like, and you're now going to fucking bitch that it happened to you? And I was like, I can't take, and I didn't tell him, but I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have money. I can't do that. And then I told him, I was like, I can't get a new phone for another month when the battery will not charge. When this battery charge dies, I'm without a phone for the next month. I'll get in touch with you. And that month with no phone calls and not having to have the skin crawl and wonder what I was going to be asked to do next. Like I say, the most stress-free, carefree, wonderful month that I had had.
You're free. You're out of it.
That I had had in like 14 years at that point. Yeah. And so when I went in to get the new phone, they said, do you want to keep your old number or do you want a new number? And I just blurted out, change my number. Oh. And so I got a new phone. I got a new phone number and I just cut ties. I told Nick Manawa, like, don't let him have my number. And I stopped responding to messages and stuff and just pretty much I just ghosted him. And, part of me feels bad that I just ghosted him.
Fuck it. No,
but it was
you being a good person. That's you being a good person.
It was the break that I needed. So then, I haven't talked to him since then. We were both at Nick Manawa's wedding. I did not talk to him at the wedding.
Okay.
Guys would come up and be talking to me. And then he'd like come and saddle up and try to like join into the huddle. And then I would just leave and go stand by Patty and talk to Patty. And so I haven't talked to him. So like I said, it was sometime late 2010. It might have been very early 2011. But it's like 15, 16 years.
All right. Well, we're reaching like 5 hours.
Yeah.
The very final question. In terms of pro wrestling shit, or I mean, I guess your life advice within the realm of pro wrestling, what advice would 2026 Jim Fannin give to 2000 Jim Fannin? If you could go back and tell that kid anything at all about the wrestling business, would it be get the fuck out, or what would you say to yourself from back then?
Um, the first thing I would say is get the fuck out.
Really?
Um, the second thing I would say is if you don't get the fuck out, at least get the fuck out of here. And try to experience other things and see if other things are better. But I definitely would have told myself one way or the other, get away from him.
Gotcha.
It was just, it was a toxic, toxic, toxic relationship, and I only have myself to blame because
Nah.
because I should have gotten myself out
Yeah.
um, well before I did. I should have just been able to say, there's so many different things that happened along the way where I should have been like, that should have been the time I said, fuck it. That should have been the time I said, fuck it. But there was enough of those times that it should have happened at some point. And at that time frame, all I had was, everybody. If you ever anybody ever said anything at all positive about me, it always started with, "That's the most loyal guy I know," and that meant something to me. That meant something to me, and it should not have, because loyalty should be a two-way street.
Yeah.
And but that was my whole makeup at that point. And that version of me, I did not know who I was. I did not know what I would do if I wasn't loyal. For whatever reason, I had chosen that as like the most important thing in the world, was to be loyal. And I had chosen my loyalty. And I even made that a part of the Jim Fannin wrestling character, which might actually surprise people when they think about it, that this heel, but even as a heel, I flew the IWA flag higher and harder than anybody. I was the cheerleader. I was I'm going to live and die for this. And not only that, if you look at it, the only person I ever turned on was Ian Rotten. I never turned on anybody else. If you were a member of the Fannin family, they would get out by turning on me. And it would be turning babyface. They would be like, "I've had enough of you," and they would leave. But it was them turning on me. I never turned on them, because I that was a main part, and people probably never even thought about that, probably never even realized it as it was happening, but I wanted that as part of who I was as a character, because that was who I was as a human being. And so other than Ian Rotten, there was nobody in the wrestling business. I did not turn on anybody. It was always them turning to lead, deciding that they had enough of the heel way, and they turned on me to leave. And
There you
maybe I
go.
maybe I shouldn't have been loyal in either. I don't know.
Well,
But
there we
yeah,
go. What a fucking. I'm so grateful. I can't possibly put into words how awesome this experience has been. I'm so happy to have been able to talk to you. Like I said, I was probably 11, 12 years old when I first actually saw IWA videos, uh, 2007, 2008 time period, and was able to hear you on commentary. Mainly is what struck me was your commentary. I was always very impressed by the way you presented yourself. And then, of course, every time you were on camera, you made the most of it. You understood the assignment. You were extremely professional in a time period where so many, like, the business was falling apart and it was becoming increasingly more comical and less serious. You you were serious, and you fucking made every moment matter, Jim. And I'm grateful to fucking talk to you, and I'm very appreciative for this whole experience here tonight.
well, thank you for spending your 3 month hiatus talking to me. This thing is, ladies and gentlemen, you have no idea how long however long this ends up being by the time Manawa edits it, times it by 5, and that's how long we've
I'm so
been.
sorry. I'm so
That's how
sorry.
long we've been. And no, it's my fault because
You indulge me.
I cannot I cannot just give a one word answer. It's not in my DNA. It's not. I'm not capable of that. So if anybody has listened to this entire podcast episode,
You're dumb. They're
however
very dumb.
many episodes it gets turned into, thank you. God bless you. Might need to go see a shrink because there's something wrong with you. But
For real.
thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for those kind words. Even on my social medias back then, I would if I posted as Jim Fannin, I posted as who I portrayed in the ring. Um, I lived the gimmick 24/7, 365. If I posted under IWA Mid South, then I would be, corporate guy and be nice and do whatever. But if it, if you were like, I can't believe he would say that, or what was wrong with him, every single thing that was on my MySpace, every single thing that was in my, live journal, MySpace, whatever it was an extension of who I was in the ring, just because I thought that that was what was needed. And I needed people to think that that was who I was at all times, because pretty much that was who I was at all times. It was my life. It was what I dedicated my blood, my sweat, my tears, my money, my time, my money, my money, my money, my time, my blood. It was the only thing in my life. I didn't think that I would ever find somebody like my wife who could love me, because I did not love myself. I To this day, I hate myself more than I like myself. Definitely more than I love myself. So I did not think that I was going to have anything in my life other than IWA, and I acted that way, and it led to a lot of mistakes. It led to a lot of missed opportunities, but it's the 2026 come back for a farewell redemption tour.
Fuck yeah,
If it
absolutely.
if it happens, don't expect me to play a baby face, because I ain't got it in me. It's going to be a come back to a farewell redemption, but still a heel kind of thing. But I'll just try to do everything else better. If you're still with me, you get to hear for the first time that there is a booking. So there will be at least one appearance on it. We'll see if it leads to others, but you will have to put up with seeing me in a wrestling ring at least one time, and maybe it'll be more. I'm working on trying to get a bucket list item knocked off, and we're halfway there. There's a chance. We just gotta make a few schematics work, and hopefully that happens. But I'm actually excited for a change and looking to what it brings. And again, thank you everybody for joining us for however many episodes this gets turned into. Maybe Manawa tells me to throw the whole thing in the trash, in which I apologize, tripping balls, that it would then have been a giant waste of 22 hours and 15 minutes of your life, as you were trained to that chair and forced to do this. But I'm glad that you asked for this opportunity. Nobody else asked to do this. This was a one-time. Tripping Balls asked first, so he got to do it. We're not doing it again because this has been too much. And with that, until the next episode, so let it be written, so let it be done. Good day.
Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another edition of Fannin's Flashbacks, and it marks the end of this marathon session of Ask Me Anything with Tripping Balls. I would like to send out a heartfelt thank you to TB for pushing me to do this. The numbers for the first two episodes, especially the second one, have been such a surprise to me. Last week's episode currently has the third most views of any episode so far of Fannin's Flashbacks on my YouTube channel, only behind the very first episode I did and then the episode with Mark Wolf. Those views are thanks to Tripping Balls' Twitter following. His tweets pumping the show got a ton of new eyeballs onto the podcast, and I hope you new viewers stick around now that his guest hosting run has ended. Those of you watching or listening, make sure you return the favor that Tripping Balls did for me by going to his YouTube channel and hitting subscribe if you haven't done so already. Go to YouTube and search for Crusher Bones Forever, named after his late dad, the icon that Undertaker stole his gimmick from, evidently, Crusher Bones. Please also subscribe to my YouTube page. The more subscribers the channel has and the more likes and comments we get means that we get pushed out into the algorithm to more new people. After you subscribe and hit like on some of those videos on both Crusher Bones Forever and on the Sports Fannin channel, give us a follow on our Twitters if you don't already, because it's the same with the Twitter algorithm. Tripping Balls is at Is This Wrestling, and I am at jfannin73 on Twitter. If you use IWTV, make sure you look up last weekend's Girl Fight Wrestling show where friend of the pod, Jess B's Knees, made her commentary debut. Listen to Jess and Just Jay call all the great action from Girl Fights return to running shows, and be on the lookout for their next event. If you are interested in vintage IWA Mid-South t-shirts, reach out to James Christopher on Twitter at Candido24K_. And have no fear, listeners, none of the money from the sales goes to the gambler. It's all for my godson, James Christopher. Also, if you are looking for any design work to be done, James Christopher is your guy. Hit him up for great design work at an even better price. Last but not least, as a reward for you listeners that stuck through to the end of this 3-part marathon, the first bookings in the Jim Fannin Comeback for a Farewell Redemption Tour have been made, so this comeback is real. When this is being recorded, the first 2 events have not been publicly announced yet, so I won't say when or where, But if you stay tuned to my social media accounts, you will not be able to miss it because I won't be shutting up about it. When the announcements are made, please let the promotions know that you are buying your ticket because you want to see me. Help me show these promoters that, in the immortal words of Toby Keith, I may not be as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was, and that I can still be a draw thanks to this podcast. And I want to thank Nick Manawa for all his hard work on editing these episodes. And Lord knows he's had his work cut out for him with me talking about crimes and not using aliases, and then ranting and raving about certain people being mentioned in questions and having to cut whole damn segments and everything in between. The man is truly pro wrestling's BFF, and he should have a full-time, paying his bills job in this business. No one loves it more than he does. No one works harder for less money and less appreciation than Nick Manawa does, and that should change. Listeners, you need to be mentioning Nick Manawa's name to every promotion in your area. There is nothing that Nick Manawa can't do. Commentary, ring announcing, booking, everything in between. And he is an instant upgrade to any company's roster. Book him everywhere. And I'm not just saying that because he's my little brother or because he's finally joining me on screen next week as the guest on episode 19 of Fannin's Flashbacks. I'm saying it because it's true. It's damn true. So let it be written. So let it be done. Good day.